Hello Wolfpack, back here on Bitcoin today. We haven't done a Bitcoin update in about 3 days here. One of the main reasons for that is the fact that there's not too much to talk about. We're still in the consolidation region, but I have identified a new pattern that I think is worth taking a look at here, as well as brushing up on some of the traditional market movements and some of the correlations going on there with Bitcoin. But generally speaking, just to briefly get a brief overview or summary of what I've talked about on Bitcoin in this same region is that the range right now for Bitcoin is 28.6K to 32.6K. We've identified that range over a period of time here. It's very much the only objective kind of two numbers you should have here. 28.6K being the bottom of the range, right? So if we drop below 28.6, we're probably going to shift downwards to a lower level of support at 24K. And if we break above 32.6, we're probably going to be entering a dead cat bounce scenario, in which I'll talk about that later in the video. But that is the range for Bitcoin, and so long as we're within that range, so long as we're still ranging between those two price points at 28.6 and 32.6, we shouldn't be making any major moves in the market. And this goes for trading as well, right? I told my VIP group, guys, go ahead, trade. I'm personally trading a little bit, but don't expect too much from this region. There's going to be very choppy price action. Your predictions aren't going to play out as well as you might think they would, because there's no decisive movement in the market. Bitcoin hasn't made a move yet. It hasn't decided where it's going. And so the only way to trade a range like this is not to try and predict when it's going to break out and which way it's going to break out, but try to swing the range. So when it tests the bottom, you swing the top. When it tests the top, you swing the bottom. That's the only way you can really trade a range like this. And so given the fact that we have those structures that you need to be swinging, or you can just wait for a breakout, either up or down above 32.6 or down below 28.6, which would be the more logical thing to do unless you're an experienced trader. What you can do is go ahead and go to the shorter term time frame. And speaking of the shorter term time frame, try not to get too much into how to trade the range, because I understand most people are just here for the Bitcoin analysis. What you can really do when you're trying to kind of analyze the shorter term is just try and look for some patterns, look for some structures. And the first structure you can immediately see on the 4-hourly chart here, which is represented on the daily chart by this downtrending yellow line here, is that there is a major downtrending resistance line that is stemming all the way from the top here about, in March 29th. So just about 2 months ago, a little more than 2 months ago here. And so 2.5 months. And so this downtrending line is acting as the compression line. And we can see that, well, considering the fact that 28.6K, this bottom red line, has been the bottom on Bitcoin, the level upholding the entire structure for 2 years, we can kind of see 28.6K and this downtrending yellow line as the consolidation pattern altogether, and expect something big to happen, either downside or the upside, when the apex of that structure is reached. And so given that logic, we can assume that something is going to happen on Bitcoin, and by something I mean a break above 32.6K or a break below 28.6K within the next couple of weeks, and more specifically within the next 10 days, right? And then, so we're looking at June 20th, but then we can kind of list it down and label and kind of consolidate down and pin it down even further and say, well, on the 16th of June, we have an interest rates decision from the Federal Reserve. On the 17th of June, we have the largest options expiry on Bitcoin for, I think, 6 or 7 years. So given the fact that on the 16th of June and the 17th of June, which by the way is 3 days before the apex of this consolidation pattern is reached, we have those major decisions that will bring volatility in the market. We can actually assume that within the next 6 or 7 days, at the most, Bitcoin will be making a decisive move out of this range. Right, so just about a week left. So if you're getting bored of this consolidation pattern, you're getting sick of it, and you're getting, it's going on for a while, or you're kind of bored, you're not looking at the market too much, just rest assured and kind of be aware of the fact that there is less than a week, or just on a week right now, until this pattern will be broken, and until a decisive move, even if the downside of the upside, will be at least triggered and started. That's very interesting to note. And then kind of listening it down even further and kind of trying to understand it even better, what we can do is draw a smaller consolidation pattern, so that 16th or 17th within the next week we're going to make a move. That's based on the yellow line here and 28.6K. But even trying to get a little bit of a more precise point of view, we can draw a smaller symmetrical triangle pattern that is sideways into the symmetrical triangle. So it's a neutral pattern. It's on support, and so it's naturally a bullish pattern in that case. And so this sideways symmetrical triangle pattern will be coming to an apex on the 17th of June, which is further validating my previous opinion that I just said there, right? Because you'll notice that On the 16th of June, we have interest rates. On the 17th of June, we have the futures expiry, the options expiry that's happening across the broader markets that brings volatility to Bitcoin. And the apex of this triangle formation is coming on the 17th of June as well. And so it is very much not my opinion. It is actually what the data suggests at this point, that we will be seeing a decisive move within the next 7 days for Bitcoin, anytime within the next 7 days. Very interesting stuff indeed. So moving on, and now that we have that in mind, what can we really say about Bitcoin? Well, we can say, a dead cat bounce is probably more likely. And why is that? And how should you react to something like that? Well, first and foremost, you shouldn't be reacting to it right now. Because as I said before, even though a dead cat bounce is more likely, which we've kind of established in previous videos, even though it's more likely, there are many factors that might mean it can't happen. And more importantly, even though a dead cat bounce, in my opinion, is slightly more likely, we are in a sideways consolidation region, and there's no need to make a decision. There's no need to enter any trades until that sideways to consolidation region between 28.6K and 32.6K is broken. We need to wait for confirmation. That's trading in any sense. So if you hear me say, oh yeah, dead cat bounce is more likely, and you buy $100,000 worth of Bitcoin and then it goes down, well, you're simply not listening to the trading plan, right? The trading plan is we wait until the 32.6K breakout has occurred. At that point, the dead cat bounce is validated, and then we act in accordance to the dead cat bounce, right? So even though these predictions are, these are preliminary predictions, and you should be waiting for confirmation for them to play out. But essentially, the reason why I think a dead cat bounce is slightly more likely is due to the fact that there is a trend regarding Bitcoin that we're following the exact same structure as 2014 and 2018, and that trend is a 5-step trend. Okay, so we top out at the bull market top. We go down, we form an uptrending line, we drop below the uptrending line, we consolidate for a bit, we jump back up, we test the 200-day SMA, which is that green line or near it, we reject from it, and then we finally form the bear market bottom. The exact same thing happened in 2018, right? Exact same structure, uptrending line, drop below it, consolidate, break above, touch the 200-day, consolidate some more, form the bear market bottom. And as of right now, at this point, we have no reason to believe we're doing anything but that, and hence the next step for Bitcoin should be, according to this pattern, a break upwards to around probably 36, 35K. It's not really precise as to where it will be, because again, break upwards to the 200-day SMA, which is a moving average, so it's moving around. We can't tell exactly where it's going to be. It'll probably be around 36, 35K, and that would be the dead cat bounce. And then after that, if we're still following the plan, we'll do something like this, consolidate for a bit, and then drop down for the ultimate bear market bottom in November. And why November, right? Why November? Well, that's per the 4-year cycle theory. The 4-year cycle theory is a theory on Bitcoin that I talk about quite extensively. Because it's not a theory anymore, it's a trend, and so it is worth talking about. And it's a trend that actually predicted the top on Bitcoin in November, and it's a trend that has predicted every top in the previous cycles, and it's a trend that's predicting the bottom on Bitcoin will be around November, probably October to December, but November's in the middle of that, so we say November. Now, it doesn't give us a really good indication of the price range, and so we can't be sure as to what the price of Bitcoin is going to be at the bottom. If history has anything to say for it, the price of Bitcoin should be on the 200-week SMA, which will be at around 25K at that point, or maybe 26K. But again, the 4-year cycle is not about price ranges, it's more about dates. And so the date would be November, December, probably, October, somewhere around there. We're just going to say November for the sake of clarity and sake of keeping it simple. But realistically, the price of Bitcoin could be below 200-week SMA. We could actually bottom out at 12 to 14K. This is a scenario we've talked about quite a bit in the past. And we do have some future predictions for Bitcoin depending on where Bitcoin bottoms. And this is based on the last video. You can go ahead and pause the video and read the data here. But essentially, if Bitcoin bottoms at 24K, which is where the 200-week SMA will be, if we're incorporating a wick below it, we'll have a 327K top in 2025. And if Bitcoin bottoms at 14K, which are the two main scenarios I'm looking at, we'll have a 194K top in 2025. Obviously, that's extremely early to make predictions like that, but it just gives you an indication of how the bear market bottoms affect the predictions for the macro tops, right? The lower Bitcoin goes in the bear market, the lower it's going to go in the macro top. That's just how it works according to the 4-year cycle trend. And so if you're interested in predictions regarding this, go ahead and check out my last video I made. But ultimately, that's what this video is, right? We're just kind of saying the same old stuff. Well, Bitcoin, just a reminder, is going to be making a move above this critical horizontal range within 7 days. And there are major decisions coming up within the next week, including the interest rates decision and including the decision the market is going to take in regards to the options expiry, which is happening the day after the interest rates decision. Very, very important week for Bitcoin. Although until something happens, there isn't too much to talk about. What we can notice as well, though, is the whole market is primed for a move. How do we know that? Well, we know that because when the market is primed for a move, it's usually sitting on major support or just below major resistance, right? We're on major support on Bitcoin, which is actually the cyclical support at 28.6K. And we're doing the exact same thing on the biggest altcoin out there, which is Ethereum, at its relative major support zone, 1,700. We are ready at this point in the entire broader market to make a move. We're waiting for the trigger, and it's going to be happening within the next week. With interest rates rising and bond yields hiking, we can expect further rate hikes, which may kind of in effect bring down the traditional markets, which may act as a bearish hindrance to Bitcoin. And that's why I'm not fully willing to jump in and say, oh yeah, the Deadcat bounce is like super, super likely, because if that traditional market threat didn't exist, I would say it was super, super likely. However, there is a threat that traditional markets drags Bitcoin down without a Deadcat bounce. And that's something we need to keep an eye on as well. So as of right now, it's very indecisive. The next week will be telling, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. But without further ado, I want to look at the BitGet Exchange. I want to look at the Crypto Academy, and I want to look at V.I.P membership. Highly recommend you stick around for this. You might learn some information you don't know about the Wolves of Crypto channel. First and foremost, if you're going to become a VIP, which we'll look at in a second, and even as a regular trader here, you should definitely check out the BitGet Exchange. It has half the fees of Binance, and it has a non-KYC option, meaning wherever you are in the world, and specifically if you're in Australia where they have crypto regulation heavily on futures, you can trade using this platform, futures or spot. Again, half the fees of Binance, and on top of all of this, they have $4,000. Let me scroll down and find it. $4,000 in trading rewards you can earn as trial funds. I think at least a few hundred of those dollars there you can earn as straight cash by completing simple tasks. Check out BitGet using my referral link. Moving forward more, the Crypto Academy Become a Trader course. We've actually in the process at this point of launching a trust pilot, which is kind of a review site. So you'll be able to see some reviews from the current students in that course if you want that confirmation before purchasing. So keep an eye on that. I'll bring it up in future videos if we do get it. But essentially, this course is revolving around how to become a trader, how to learn TA, everything from market patterns, indicators, etc. The whole 9 yards. You can go ahead and chuck us an email here at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com if you want to find out more about becoming a trader. And then finally, Wolves of Crypto VIP. From a PC device, go to my channel, click the join button, and you'll see this tab pop up, which shows you everything you get by becoming a VIP. Altcoin trading signals, 2-hour video on market psychology, weekly access to a newsletter, prioritized reply to comments, custom emojis, custom badges, the whole 9 yards once again. We've posted 14 trading signals in that group so far, and it's been up for about 3 weeks. Out of those trading signals, I think 8 of them have triggered, 8 of them have been active, and 7 of those 8 have been profitable trades. Insane stuff going on there, considering the market has literally been going sideways the entire time that group has been active. So while we've gone sideways, while Bitcoin's going nothing, people in the VIP group have been able to make profit and actually build their portfolio up rather than most people who are just sitting there doing nothing. So go ahead and check that out. $28 USD a month, insanely cheap. All it's going to take is 1 good trade per month to pay that back, probably tenfold. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.